Good morning. Top of the morning to you. A little coffee with some cinnamon in it. Mm. My name is Darlene Nolan, and I am the author of Involved with a Cad for 7 Years in the Twilight Zone. Introduction. No green card, no matrimony. No green card, no matrimony is a guide for the smart, independent American woman who wants to believe her partner has the right motives for marriage but can't seem to shake the warning signs that his intentions are disingenuous. Often witty and always truthful, the author speaks to those of us who have had relationships with foreign men and some of the pitfalls that can accompany it. Unfortunately, many intelligent women ignore the red flags because they have waited until after they have fallen in love to start asking the important questions. How can you tell if your man truly loves you or is only in it for the citizenship? How can you listen to both your heart and head? How can you give love and protect yourself in your interests? Let this handy checklist be your compass. Learn what you truly value in a relationship and have a few laughs along the way. By J. King, 2015. I highly recommend this book. It's funny and it's very practical and informative. Women's Justice Publications has heard the cries of several women who have become victims of marriage fraud and who have not been properly defended by the current U.S. immigration law. Women's Justice Publications believes in writing books that are candid and that will help women make better decisions so that they don't end up victims of inadequate legal protection. Author David Seminara, consular officer in Skopje, Macedonia, and Budapest, Hungary. Key points. Marriage to an American citizen remains the most common path to U.S. residency and or citizenship for foreign nationals, with more than 2.3 million foreign nationals gaining lawful permanent residence status in this manner between 1998 and 2007. More than 25% of all green cards issued in 2007 were the spouses of American citizens. In 2006 and 2007, there were nearly twice as many green cards issued to the spouses of American citizens that were issued for all employment based immigrant categories combined. The number of foreign nationals obtaining green cards based on marriage to an American has more than doubled since 1985 and quadrupled since 1970. Despite these statistics, marriage fraud for immigration gets very little notice or debate in the public arena, and the State Department and Department of Homeland Security have nowhere near the resources needed to combat the problem. Attention to fraud is not just for the integrity of the legal immigration system, but also for security reasons. If small time con artists and third world gold diggers can obtain green cards with so little resistance, then surely terrorists can do and have done the same. An overwhelming percentage of all petitions to bring foreign spouses or fiancés to the United States illegally or to help them adjust visa status if they are already in the United States on non immigrant visas are approved, even in cases where the couple may only have met over the internet and may not even share a common language. Marriage to an American citizen is the clearest pathway to citizenship for an illegal alien. A substantial number of illegal aliens ordered removed, many of whom have criminal records, later resurface as marriage based green card applicants. Waivers granted to those marrying U.S. citizens can eliminate ineligibilities for green cards, including the 3 to 10 year bar on entry for those with long periods of illegal presence. The decision-making authority for green card applicants lies with USCIS officials who rely almost exclusively on documents, records, and photographs with very little opportunity for interviews or investigations. Consular officers reviewing cases overseas do not do live interviews and can initiate local investigations but may only approve petitions, not deny them. Don Crescetti, 2007. Don Crescetti noted age difference to be a significant factor in foreign national marriage fraud. Attorney representation also was an indicator for fraud. He had never held a job, common for male immigrant applicants from Macedonia and Kosovo. U.S. immigration lists one of the types of marriage fraud as being a foreign national defrauds a U.S. citizen who believes the marriage is legitimate. Senate holds a rare hearing on immigration-related marriage fraud. The U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee held a rare hearing earlier this month on a long neglected subject, immigration-related marriage fraud. Two U.S. citizens came forward to testify that they had been hoodwinked by aliens who subsequently abused the witnesses after securing what they had wanted in the first place, not love and marriage, but a green card. Both of the aliens used K-1 visas to gain admission to the United States, one of the techniques used in this kind of fraud. Citizens asked that the government issue K-1 so their prospective alien spouses. The process assumes that the alien and the citizen will marry within 3 months of the alien's arrival in the United States, and both citizens and aliens are, in fact, single and eligible for marriage. The two citizens, apparently brushing aside concerns about their own privacy, were Elena Lopez and Dr. Jamal Hussein. Both told how aliens pretended to love them had abandoned them once legal status had been obtained. In the case of Lopez, she said that her husband had attempted to strangle her and had aimed a rifle at her, firing blanks and laughing. Hussein's fiance had apparently been married and divorced earlier, but not had reported those events as she should have on her visa application. Both citizens suffered financial and emotional losses as a result of this misfiring of the immigration law. Lopez had a spouse from Holland. Hussein's fiance was from his native Pakistan. There was a marriage in the first case, but none in the second. It was not clear from the testimony, but neither alien apparently had been penalized for this behavior, and both aliens seemed to preserve their legal status. Both Lopez and Hussein said that their attempts to secure justice from immigration officials were ignored. An important point that, sadly, was not mentioned again in the hearing. We at the center hear all too often how DHS officials ignore evidence presented by citizen victims of marriage fraud. One reason for this is the way that the Violence Against Women Act is written. In a sense, the hearing had a feel of ships passing in the night. The two victims told how much they had been hurt by official neglect of their complaints. The five government witnesses talked about various processes used to prevent marriage fraud and, as far as I could hear, never mentioned what should be done to help the victims of marriage-related immigration fraud. The eighth witness was an immigration lawyer, Grace Huang, who warned against causing harm by overreacting to the cited problems and spoke of some occasions when K-1 visas were misused by citizens to exploit alien women. The senators were largely concerned with loopholes in the process and called for more vigilance in the administration of the law. None of these passing ships seemed to communicate with each other. Senator Ted Cruz, Republican from Texas, in a cameo appearance toward the ending of the hearing, substituted for the chairman Chuck Grassley, a Republican from Iowa, and recalled that the K-1 visa had played a role in the terrorist shooting in San Bernardino. I hope that this hearing will be as productive as the one I attended long ago. That one, on July 26, 1985, was conducted by then Senator Alan Simpson, Republican from Wyoming, and led to the passage of legislation that made it impossible for quick remarriages of fraudsters, eliminating the 2-year waiting period before the alien citizen marriage could be led to a green card. This was an important step in the right direction. I was an expert, not a victim, witness at that hearing. Most of the other witnesses were citizens telling stories very much like those of Lopez and Hussein. In other words, this is not a new problem. DNOR 2017. Family petition, family visa petition. When you hear about U.S. immigration in the news, you most likely will only hear about mass immigration at our southern border, illegal immigration, and deportation. But how often do you hear about work visas, tourist visas, K-1 fiancé visas, and family visas? There are U.S. citizens at home and abroad that have been affected by current immigration laws that pertain to family visas and K-1 fiancé visas. Immigration Form I-864 Affidavit of Support is a vital document you should read before you ever say I do to a foreign national, at home or abroad. If you don't, you may find that you have entered into a legally binding contract with the federal government that will take a huge toll on your financial and emotional well being, should your marriage go south due to no fault of your own. The Immigration Form I-864 Affidavit of Support is a vital document according to USCIS because it proves that the American citizen who filed the petition for a family visa on behalf of their immigrant spouse meets the financial requirements to support them in the United States, and that the foreign national will not become a government charge. In other words, they won't have to apply for any type of government assistance. In my case, it was this form that had a big impact on my former immigrant spouse's visa application and ultimately my relationship. It was because of It was because I did not meet the financial requirements of that form that my spouse's visa application was denied. I was told that I needed to find someone to sponsor his application. No one I knew wanted to sponsor my foreign national spouse's visa application because they never met him in person. All my friends and family could call his bullshit from across the pond. They didn't believe that his intentions for me were genuine. Most of that came from him harassing them over the phone and on the internet. They told me that he was a stark raving mad lunatic with a nefarious agenda. They believed that he had an ulterior motive, and they were right. I believe he picked me as an easy target. I must have had high levels of empathy. Not every American foreign national relationship works or is genuine. It is too high of a gamble to take. Think they love you? They don't. They only want to get the hell out of Dodge and get their hands on that green card. So don't kid yourself. The telltale red flag signs are poverty and desperation to get out of it. Being overboard controlling is not a good sign either. I wrote this book to share my personal story to help others so they can prevent a similar event from happening in their lives. Hopefully, to see it coming from all the warning signs and stop it before it ever takes place. To be fair, though, I have met some American citizens who have married a foreign national immigrant, and their marriages were genuine. I know that I can say with 100% certainty that I would never take that gamble again. I will refer to my foreign national ex spouse as Victor, as in the naked statue of Victor that holds a falcon in his left hand and a sword in his right hand. The statue of Victor can be found in Kelemegdan Fortress, which overlooks the Sava and Danube rivers. Victor, in the beginning of our relationship, seemed to be a very decent guy. However, as you will notice, his niceness takes on a nefarious direction as the years go by. Whew. Victims of Immigration Fraud Facebook group. Check it out. John Sampson, who is the moderator for this group, says the system is corrupt. The legal system overlooks the fraud and fabricated allegations in order to protect immigrants from being deported. Politicians know what's going on and refuse to fix it. Defense attorneys and family law attorneys try to convince their American clients to simply sweep it under the rug, thereby sacrificing their clients to the altar of political correctness and social justice. And worse yet, USCIS at the top is also corrupt. Internet safety. I always had a rule that I would only allow people that I knew or that I met at least once on my social media. But on March 8th, 2010, I broke that rule when I let a total stranger friend request me on Facebook. At that time in my life, I was vulnerable. And what I mean by vulnerable is that I was in the middle of the process of divorce. My father and paternal grandmother had recently passed away within the space of 3 weeks of each other. I was experiencing some pretty major depression. So, all of those devastating life events, add them all up, and you have a person who is vulnerable. Vulnerable people are perfect target for deceptive individuals to take advantage of. A predator preys on a vulnerable person because they are easier to manipulate and control than someone who's not vulnerable. Not once in those 7 years did he ever say to me, I'm sorry for your loss. He never cared about my loved ones, which demonstrated that he never cared about me. All he was concerned about was his own agenda and what he could get out of me before I caught on to his lies and deception. Online predators will usually engage in subterfuge, which is another word for deceit. Remember, they have a goal to achieve. That goal could be anything from extortion to manipulation in order to achieve those means by way of coercion at all costs. My ex foreign national spouse, for example, really put on the charm in the beginning of the relationship. He did this by love bombing me. Love bombing is a form of emotional manipulation used to gain power over a person by showing them tons of affection and attention. Anyone can love bomb, but the most common offenders have unhealthy attachment issues or narcissistic personality disorder. Love bombing is also about control, creating dependency, and idealization. I had nothing whatsoever, it has nothing whatsoever to do with love. Signs of love bombing. They give you constant compliments, they bombard you with gifts. The relationship feels intense and unbalanced. They expect an abnormal amount of your attention. They push for commitment early in the relationship. They get upset with boundaries. They are very needy. They shower you with over the top gestures. They tell you what you want to hear. They say exactly what you should wear. They make grand promises that never happen because they lie. Eventually, the gifts, attention, and compliments will be replaced with criticism. If you suspect that you're being love bombed, it's important to set clear and healthy boundaries. Refuse gifts, set limitations on time spent together, and above all else, don't give away your phone number or your personal email. Block them from your social media and go completely no contact. While I was publishing, promoting, and marketing my book, I was approached by two more online predators. This time I was prepared. I noticed that they all had a common thread in which they used to hook their prey. They will give you a bogus location. My ex foreign national spouse told me when we started talking on Facebook that he was from Beverly Hills, California. Another predator told me that he was from Los Angeles, California, and another one told me that he lived in San Francisco, California. What's the common thread there? They try to manipulate you by into giving you them your phone number and your email address so they can coerce you into doing what they want. They try really hard to move into a relationship with you and they don't even know you. Toxic relationships. Toxic relationships typically manifest as someone asserting power over another and with someone questioning their own self worth or value. Toxic relationships can be extremely hard to navigate because oftentimes you don't even know that you're even in one in the first place. Once feelings and emotions are involved, it can get to the point where you're oblivious to the toxicity. Signs that you are in a toxic relationship. Your partner gaslights you by either telling you how you feel or disvalues your feelings when you share them. Your partner blames you for problems they caused. They isolate you from family and friends. They are experiencing more, you are experiencing more stress, anxiety, and excessive worry, or maybe even a weakened immune system, which will wreak havoc on your health. All the while they're telling you how they want you to be healthy, but yet they're destroying your health. Okay. Oh, you have nightmares. You make excuses for their negative behavior. They are control. They use sex to manipulate you for money. When you are in a toxic relationship, you tend to feel that you are losing parts of yourself that you have once enjoyed. In a relationship, if a relationship only works when you can be your truest self and it requires giving too much of yourself, then the relationship is not worth staying in. If your relationship lacks trust, honesty, respect, and communication, then it's toxic. Remember, you deserve to be your truest, healthiest, best version of yourself in all of your relationships, romantic especially. If we find ourselves in relationships with liars, cheaters, or abusers, our job isn't to get them to stop lying, cheating, or abusing. Our job is to leave. If a person in your life leaves you feeling resentful, belittled, or exhausted, it's time to set boundaries. No one can throw a bigger tantrum than a narcissist who's losing control over someone else's mind. No response is a response and a powerful one. Remember that. Your healing terrifies them. They've never met anyone who can break several times and put themselves back together using nothing but self love. Involved with a cad for 7 years in the Twilight Zone by Darlene. Thank you for listening and have a great day. Bye.